Hi, everyone. This is Jack Brickhouse bringing you the 46th Annual Illinois State High School Basketball Tournament from Champaign, Illinois, where the top 16 teams in the state, the Sweet 16, battle it out for the championship. These teams are the cream of the crop, the finest of the 742 who originally set out after one of the most coveted titles in high school athletics, the Illinois State Basketball Championship. And here's the opening tip-off of the first game before nearly 7,000 fans here in the University of Illinois Huff Gymnasium. In white are the Lrange Lions, and in the dark uniforms are Chicago's DeKalb Panthers. There's the tournament's first basket, a follow shot by Lagrange's 6'7" center, Ted Kayaza, a boy we'll hear more about later. DeKalb's Lumpkin, displaying a nifty dribble, came through with a nice fake and then a neat turn there and a jump shot for two. Lumpkin's a 16-year-old junior who stands 5 feet 10 inches high and weighs 158 pounds. And it became 2 in a row for Lumpkin when he took a pass and roared right down the middle to register that driving layup. And how this crowd hoops it up down here. Lagrange's taller Lions dominated the rebounding department of the ball game and held a 36-22 halftime lead. Following a free shot by Lagrange's Charles Sedgwick came one of the game's prettiest plays, a beautiful 1-2 pass climaxed by Joe McRae's push shot from the side, which gave the Lions 2 more points. Watch this. A beauty. DeKalb's Lumpkin, who poured through 29 points during the game for a sensational performance, handled the ball as well as he shot it. Now watch this dazzling dribbling exhibition. And now Lumpkin passes into his 6'3" teammate, center Shelley McMillan. And McMillan loops it in, a long hook shot. Looked like he used radar on that one. Although Lumpkin hit for 29 points, that wasn't good enough for high point honors. Lagrange's Kayaza came through with the top performance, 31 points, 5 behind the record of Mount Vernon's Max Hooper. Also outstanding in this game, as they were in later games as well, were Lagrange's McRae brothers, Leon and Joel. Lagrange won the game 85-68, and the combined total was a tournament mark as the total 153 points bettered the 148 registered when Freeport beat Decatur 88-60 in 1951. Tension mounted as St. Teresa High of Decatur, wearing the dark uniforms, and the Little Giants of Canton, with 17 appearances in this tournament, opened the second game. The ice is broken by St. Teresa's Larry Warren, who pushes one in from 20 feet out following some nice passing by his teammates. First blood for Canton, a moment later, was drawn by guard Rolla McMullen, a nifty jump shot from 15 feet away. A beauty. Now, as we pick up the action, there's less than a minute and a half to play, and Canton leads by 1 point, 52-51. A free shot by St. Teresa's Sid Tucker tied it up, and then came the spine-tingling closing minute of play as both teams fought for an advantage. St. Teresa had the ball as the clock began its last sweep around the dial, and the Bulldogs' strategy was obvious. They meant to hold that ball until the last possible instant before trying a shot. You can't score unless you have the ball, and St. Teresa kept possession, passing and dribbling and passing, waiting for that Canton mistake, the tiny opening, the chance for a driving layup. And with the seconds ticking away, the crowd was going crazy down here at Champaign. Finally, after more passing and dribbling and stalling by St. Teresa, Jerry Heiss tries a jump shot from the side. No good. However, his teammate, John Fitzgerald, scooped up the rebound and passed it over to guard Dan Collins. He lets it go from the free throw line. It's good. And with just seconds left, Jim Young from Canton tries a long desperation shot that misses, and it's St. Teresa 54, Canton 52 in a real hair raiser. And look at those St. Teresa fans go wild. Game number 3 in the first round pitted DeKalb's Barbs with a 22-6 record against the Blue and White Panthers of Pinkneyville, winners of the 1948 state tournament and losers of only 2 games in 32 starts this season. Pinkneyville, clad in the white uniform, started out slowly, carefully testing the stout DeKalb defense. Pinkneyville's forward, Robert Morgenthaler, broke the ice when he took a rebound and popped in a jump shot. There it is. Tension continues to increase as the tournament unfolds. Big rooting sections are here to cheer each of the 16 schools in the tournament, and tickets are scarcer than $1,000 bills. All available hotels in this colorful university town of Champaign are sold out far in advance of this dramatic event, and the crowd keeps up a steady roar throughout every game. Pinkneyville moved ahead 3-0 when Gene Purcell dropped in a free shot, and Pinkneyville stayed in front throughout the first half, taking a 28-18 lead off the court at the intermission. This game was one of the lowest scoring contests of the first round and was featured mainly by the deliberate floor play of both teams. High scoring honors went to Pinkneyville's Bob Quillman, a 6-foot senior guard who tallied 12 points. Ron Purcell, brother of Pinkneyville's Gene, scored 11, as did DeKalb's Jack Vogler. Two of DeKalb's stars, by the way, forwards Ed O'Donnell and Ronald Setchell, were picked out of a gym class by coach George Derdinger and turned into regular performers. Pinkneyville, however, proved too seasoned for the Barbs and continued to hold its advantage throughout the second half and eventually triumphed 48-42, the third team to enter the second round. With each game, the screws tightened and the field grew smaller. The end of each game brought with it both happiness and heartbreak. For winners, there were congratulations, and for the losers, condolences. But losing is a part of this big tournament, too, and to do it gracefully is every bit as important as being a winner. The fourth game sent the sharpshooting Jacksonville High Crimsons in the light jerseys against the Hillsboro Hilltoppers and produced the first overtime contest. Tied 46-46 at the end of the regulation playing time, Jacksonville's Bill Jordan opened the overtime tallying with a setup, and Hillsboro tied it again on forward Frank Hitt's 20-foot set shot as an excited fan waves a pom-pom in front of the camera. Back in front raced Jacksonville on consecutive baskets by 6'4" center Ed Harrell, who first dunks a set shot. And now watch him a moment later as the play moved from one end of the floor to the other, pick off a very neat rebound here, and register 2 more points. Here it is. Very neat, huh? That sent the Crimson winging ahead 52-48, but back roared Hillsboro to close the gap to 2 points on a long, thrilling swisher by forward Cecil Hart. Beauty. And once again, that gal waves that pom-pom. Jacksonville scored 5 more points, 3 of them free tosses, all by Ike Wright. And while the rooters cheer, Mr. Wright very coolly steps up there and with all sorts of pressure on him, dumps these free throws to really put the game on ice. Hillsboro's fiery little Mark Mormino cuts loose with one of the tournament's longest successful shots just a second before the game ended. The Jacksonville Crimson triumphed 57-52 as the first round of the Illinois State High School basketball tournament reached the midway point. And look at those happy Jacksonville rooters. Jacksonville, with an enrollment of 820 students, was one of the Sweet 16 in this tourney in 1952. And now it's on to the second round for Coach John Chapman and his Crimson. Basketball and more basketball for the hoop-hungry tournament fans continued as Elgin's fast-closing Maroons, winners of 10 of their last 11 games and boasting an overall record of 18-8, hooked up with West Frankfurt's Redbirds, a red-hot aggregation which had scored more than 70 points in every tournament game en route to joining the Sweet 16. The Redbirds came into Champaign with a 13-15 season record. Elgin is wearing white uniforms for this contest. There's a lot at stake in every tournament tussle, and both Elgin and West Frankfurt spark cautiously for openings in the early stages, trading rebounds and feeling each other's weaknesses and strong points. The scoring begins when Elgin's 6'2" forward, Glenn Lowes, explodes with a 15-foot jump shot from the key. There it is. And from then on, the scoring is fast and frequent. West Frankfurt comes right back. Following some preliminary maneuvering, Frankfurt's ace guard, Larry Carpenter, sails one in from 20 feet out to even matters. A beauty. Elgin bounced right back when Tom Wagner sent his team ahead with a nice one-handed push shot. Bullseye. The dogged West Frankfurt five, which trailed by 9 points in the first half, however, never quit. Guard Buddy Ellis brought cheers from the stands when he drove to the side of the basket and looped in a difficult shot. Elgin's lead was whittled to 5 points, 37-32 at halftime. Following Ellis's brilliant shot, the white-clad Elgin five whipped down court where Wagner was fouled while attempting to drop in a layup. Now watch this boy work with the poise of a polished performer. There's number 1. And there's number 2. Seconds later, West Frankfurt hit again, this time on guard Charles Sweeten's long and accurate set shot. There it is. West Frankfurt entered the second round with a thrilling 67-64 triumph sparked by John Stankovic's 25 points. The 6th game in first-round play saw the upset king of sectional competition, little Highland High of Madison County, square off against mighty Peoria Central of the Big 12, shown wearing the dark uniforms. Peoria entered the tournament with a sparkling 26-3 record. The Lions of Peoria emitted the first growl as forward Dave Lancaster located the range with a long push shot. It took a full minute later for Highland to move into the scoring column, and they finally did it after some deliberate ball handling when center Burnell Weinheimer made a free throw. The smooth-functioning Prides of Peoria were one of the top choices in this tournament. They were a little slow getting underway against Highland, but once they did, there was no stopping them. A well-executed shot by Peoria's Harold Douglas didn't count, though, when the referee spotted a violation and the Bulldogs took the ball. Rangy Russell Thames, the 6'2" senior forward, works his way into the corner on this play. Now watch him fake very nicely. Jump, fires, it's good. And that sends Highland into the lead for the first and last time. From then on, the powerful Peoria Cagers took over. They amassed a 38-23 halftime lead and were never in trouble again. Typical of the abandon with which these boys play in this tournament was this bit of fast break action. After Peoria's all-state football quarterback and center, Hiles Stout, cleared the backboard, he dribbled a few steps and passed to teammate Jerry Green, who, driving for all he was worth, dropped in the layup and banged into the protective matting under the bucket. Unhurt, he calmly drops in that free throw. Peoria's deadly firing gave the Lions a decisive 81-53 victory. They were led by 6'4", 210-pound Stout, who scored 19 points and was a rebounding terror, and Douglas, the game's high scorer, with 23 points, including 10 field goals. Thus ended the reign of Highland's upset kings, who battled their way into the tourney against heavy odds, only to catch the red-hot Lions. Peoria notched a sensational 54% of its shots during the game. Big and rugged Rock Island, wearing the dark uniforms, and Ottawa's rangy Pirates tangled in the 7th game. The Rocks, boasting a 22-6 record, reached the semifinals last year, only to lose to the eventual champion Hebron. Ottawa was here a year ago, too, but was eliminated in the first round. The Rocks were off first in this exciting fray when guard Charles Thomas sighted the target and looped in a 25-footer that brought a tremendous cheer from the thousands of crimson and gold rooters among those packed into Huff Gym. Ottawa, a smooth-performing outfit, lost but 2 of 31 games this season. A nifty pivot shot by forward James Renwick provided the first light on Ottawa's scoreboard, and the shooting and excitement began to mount. With Thomas threading his way down the court like a football halfback, the Rocks counted again, this time on one of basketball's most thrilling plays, the driving layup. Ottawa moved ahead and enjoyed a 6-point lead, 20-14 at the end of the first quarter, but the stubborn Rocks fought back, and at halftime, the Pirates from Ottawa were still ahead, but by a narrow 2-point margin, 34-32. Ottawa's last bucket in the first half was a jump push shot by guard Robert Decrion. During the second half, Ottawa moved slowly but steadily ahead. Although the Pirates' lead was but 3 points at the end of the third period, 53-50, a quick flurry in the opening moments of the final quarter, led by Renwick's 2 fast baskets, shot them ahead. The Rocks ran into a cool spell and were unable to connect for the first 3 minutes of the quarter. Ottawa, meanwhile, was enjoying its most torrid streak of the game and whipped through 15 points before the Rocks could find the range. Ottawa coasted home after that and racked up an 80-66 victory over Rock Island to move into the second round of play. The final game of first-round play matched tiny Scharman High School of Danville with a student body of 240 against Lawrenceville's Mighty Indians, a school of 588 students. Scharman, wearing the light uniforms, broke from the starting gate first. Lawrenceville, one of the Sweet 16 for 3 of the last 4 years, whipped right back when its ace forward, Larry Brayfogle, who brought an average of 21 points plus into the tournament, eased in a long one-hander to knot the count. Both teams were red hot in the opening moments of this game, and Scharman's Hilltoppers, who lost only 1 game in 28 outings en route to the tournament, went ahead again when forward Ray Grogan drew a bead from far out and connected to send the Scharman fans into an uproar. This sensational shooting exhibition continued as Lawrenceville tied it up again. Forward John Brooks, a 16-year-old junior, set his sights from 25 feet out and uncorked a beautiful two-pointer. These boys look like a bunch of Daniel Boones as they fire away at those baskets. Lawrenceville, co-champion of the North Egypt Loop and winners 22 times and losers 6 during the regular season, brought with them one of the state's top players in Brayfogle. Brayfogle sent the Indians in front with a sharp one-hander from the side. Man, what shooting! Brayfogle quick for 23 points in this game, but Scharman's 6'8" center, Tony Davis, was high with 29. And there's a 30-foot set shot dropped by Lawrenceville's Norman Smith. But the Hilltoppers edged ahead, and Lawrenceville moved into a full-court press in an attempt to get the ball. Scharman's little Victor Pate laced one in from 20 feet away. And back came Lawrenceville's Denny Cleft with a 15-foot one-hander just a few seconds later. And just seconds after that, with guard Jim Williams' lay-in, Scharman left the court with a 73-65 victory. And so ended the first round play, and the decks were cleared for the second round in the quarterfinal. The Sweet 16 had been trimmed to an even sweeter 8 as second round play got underway with the unbeaten Lagrange Lions wearing white uniforms facing St. Teresa's stubborn Bulldogs. It was in this game that Lagrange's great center, Ted Piazza, registered one of the most astounding individual performances in the 46-year history of the Illinois State Tournament. With a feather-like touch, the agile 6', 7" junior scored all 21 points as his team led at the first quarter, 21-10. And he scored 23 points before any of his teammates found the range. St. Teresa's Sid Tucker scored the first 4 points for his team, but few high school players in the nation could keep up with the torrid Piazza, who was out to break records in this game. St. Teresa's Bulldogs hung on like their nickname and were only 8 points behind at the half, 33-25. But Piazza's constant bombardment kept the Lions comfortably ahead. The huge center left the game after 4 minutes and 45 seconds of the third quarter and returned to action with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. Shots like Bulldog guard Dan Collins' one-handed push were too infrequent to slow down Lagrange, which was at home on the range in this contest. Piazza continued to saturate the basket with a variety of shots, and late in the game, he netted a rebound which gave him 36 points and tied the tournament record set by Max Hooper of Mount Vernon against Danville in 1950. The gymnasium was a madhouse, and then a roar rent the air as the jam-packed stand screamed for a new record. Seconds later, Lagrange's Charles Sedgwick was fouled, and he took his position at the free throw line for his 2 shots. The first was good. The second wasn't, however, and Piazza, his spring steel legs catapulting him high in the air, grabbed the ball on the rebound, and watch what he does with it. It's in for a total of 38 points, and Lagrange won 75-43. With 3 spots still open in the semifinals, the Panthers of Pinkneyville and the Crimsons of Jacksonville took the court. Jacksonville, winner of the tourney's first overtime, wore dark uniforms. The Panthers moved ahead when 6'4" center Gene Purcell picked off a rebound and sank a jump shot from some 15 feet out. A free shot by Jacksonville's Roger Izard closed the gap, but Pinkneyville pulled slowly away, and by the end of the first quarter, the Panthers were nursing a 7-point lead, 17-10. Pinkneyville forward Gene Place, a 6'3" lad, turned in a very pretty play when he came out of the pack to drop in a jump shot during the second quarter. Pinkneyville continued to hold its advantage during the first 2 quarters, and at the intermission, the Panthers were 9 points ahead, 30-21. But the Crimsons didn't know the meaning of the word quit, and by dint of some near-perfect shooting, they whittled away at the Panther lead. Jacksonville's guard, Dick Beasley, a lad with an eye for a basket, dropped in a perfectly aimed jump shot. The firing became hotter now as the game moved closer to the gun, and the team stepped up the tempo with a berth in the round before the semifinals as the prize. One of the high-scoring Purcell brothers, Ron, an inch shorter than his brother at 6'3", let go a nifty jump shot. Jacksonville, 10 points back as the fourth quarter opened, was unable to cut the lead down until the closing minutes as Pinkneyville matched the Crimsons basket for basket. A flurry of baskets brings Jacksonville closer, and Pinkneyville is trying desperately to hold on to that lead they have. And here comes another drive aimed at whittling down that Pinkneyville lead. Watch Dick Beasley on this one. He pops in a jump shot, but the Panthers are still out in front. And Pinkneyville's lead was big enough to last, and at the final gun, the Panthers were ahead 58-57. 100 newspapermen, 60 sportscasters, movie and TV crews covered the annual classic. Here a group visits with Albert Willis, Executive Secretary of the High School Association. The field was narrowing as Peoria's Lions and West Frankfurt's Redbirds trotted onto the floor to fight for one of the two remaining berths in the semifinals. Tension mounted as the play continued, and the atmosphere of Huff Gymnasium was highly charged as the powerhouses, Peoria in dark uniforms, and West Frankfurt met. The Redbirds in white were trailing by 1 point with less than 3 minutes to play and had an opportunity to go out in front when Gerald Garrett moved up to the free throw line. Players and spectators alike were caught in the grip of excitement. Garrett's second free throw attempt was good, and the score was tied at 66-all. But the Peoria Lions roared right back, trying to break the deadlock while the crowd screamed itself hoarse and watched the clock, sensing that the stage was being set for a spectacular finish. First one team and then the other tried to find the hoop. The Redbirds, representing the South 7 Conference, have their 6'2 freshman, Paul Peeler, at center. Peoria Central, co-champion of the Big 12, has its 6'4 sharpshooter, Hiles Stout, who has scored 703 points in 29 games. Both boys are dangerous, as well as every other member of the two squads. And with the clock ticking away precious seconds, the air in this gym began to crackle with a tenseness that promised to explode at any moment. A half minute went by, and still neither team was able to find the basket. 45 seconds. And then the Peoria Lions brought the ball down the court while the crowd moved forward onto the edges of their seats and waited for the shot that would break the deadlock. The Redbirds on the defense now, Peoria Central with the ball. Watch Hiles Stout, their center. The ball goes to Stout, and it's in. And the Lions lead by 2 points, but the West Frankfurt squad fought right back, moving the ball down the court. The relentless hand of the clock swept on as the young, courageous Hearts battled for the victory and an opportunity to play in the semifinals. And with 5 seconds remaining, Sweeten ties it up. A nerve-wracking pitch is felt in Huff Gym, and as Peoria Central comes down the floor, Stout drops it in with 1 second to go, and Peoria Central wins 70-68. Battling for the fourth and final spot in the semifinals as the action-packed tournament progressed were the Scharman Hilltoppers in dark jerseys and the Ottawa Pirates. Scharman doesn't even have a high school gym. It practices and plays in a state armory. But the scrappy squad of Hilltoppers won their first-round game against Lawrenceville by a score of 73-65. Ottawa, in the white jerseys, won the right to meet Scharman by an 80-66 win over Rock Island in the first round of the tourney. The excitement and tenseness of this 46th annual Illinois State High School basketball tournament builds daily as these sharpshooting teams battle on for the coveted Illinois State Championship. Scharman in the dark jerseys lead during the first quarter, but in the second quarter, the Pirates found the hoop, and at the end of the half, only 1 point separated the two teams. With Grogan making that free throw early in the third quarter, the Hilltoppers again led by 1 point. The Pirates tried desperately to go out in front, but in 2 successive tries, Jim Williams neatly drops in one-handers from 20 feet away. Now we're going to ask you to watch the floor play closely here as we take time out to watch the Scharman boys maneuver that ball into Williams' hands for these 2 very fine shots. A lot of poise, a lot of control. In. This drive by Ottawa fails, and Scharman will again get the ball. Watch the Scharman center rebound and start the play. Keep your eye on Williams. There she goes. In. Another beauty. That started the Hilltoppers off with a flurry of baskets, and as the game progressed, they slowly lengthened the lead over the scrappy Pirates. In the closing seconds of play, Tony Davis tipped in a rebound for the Hilltoppers. And right after that, Bill Shields found the hoop with a 20-foot one-hander. But it wasn't enough for the Pirates, and Scharman won a most important game, 56-43. The first game of the semifinals pitted the Lagrange Lions against the Pinkneyville Panthers in the dark jerseys. Early in the game, there was plenty of evidence that this would be a high-scoring affair as Ted Piazza found the hoop with a layup, and Nate Smith quickly followed with a 25-foot set shot to put Lagrange out in front. But the Panthers gave notice at the very beginning that they were out to give the Lions plenty of competition, and the game progressed at a blistering pace, in keeping with those that had already taken place here at Huff Gymnasium. It was a seesaw battle for most of that first half. And these boys, from the very opening whistle of this game, played with the poise of real veterans. At the end of the half, Lagrange was out in front by a score of 34-23. In the third and fourth quarters, the crowd watched Big Ted Piazza as the Lions center flipped the ball through the hoop with a deadly accuracy. And the Lagrange quintet steadily increased their lead over the hustling Panthers from Pinkneyville. However, there was never a letdown in the pace of the play, and the reaction of the crowd stayed right with the blistering pace of the play on the floor. Every tournament at Champaign produces a maximum of thrills, and this one was certainly no exception. Back and forth the boys battled all the way through the entire ball game, as they had in all other previous contests in this tournament, and of course as the winners would continue to battle as the tournament reached a climax. In the latter part of the game, even though Lagrange seemed to have the game on ice, they still kept up their blistering pace, and the folks were wondering just how many points Piazza would score before it was all over. In the latter part of the game, on a fast break, Piazza hit the hoop for another 2 points. A typical Piazza fast break. One of the great things about Piazza is his ability to shoot from any position on the floor, shoot with either hand, and drive with a speed that is phenomenal in a man 6'7", weighing 235 pounds. Pinkneyville tried very, very valiantly in this game and did themselves very, very proud. They played like the champions that they have been known to be. Now watch Piazza. A beautiful fast break by Ted. And right after this, Pinkneyville's Bob Quillman dropped one in from 20 feet out. But the Lagrange Lions were too far out in front. They were never in danger again. And Lagrange won the right to participate in the finals, 78-65. The important semifinals move on. Lagrange was one of the teams that would be battling for the championship, but their competitors still had to come from the game that was presently underway, Peoria Central versus Scharman. Charles Aarons hit the mark with a short jump shot in the early seconds of the game, and the Scharman Hilltoppers in the dark uniforms broke the scoring ice. But the Peoria boys fought right back, and before the first quarter had ended, they were leading by a narrow margin. It had been a grueling, tough road these teams had traveled thus far, but the biggest, hardest obstacles were yet to come. As Scharman and Peoria met in this clash, excitement was running high in George Huff Gymnasium, for the team victorious in this match would meet the high-scoring Lagrange quintet for the coveted championship. Every game up to now had been one sparkling with a tenseness and drama that gripped the thousands of spectators jammed in the gymnasium. And now, with each pass, each dribble, each shot, every score, either Scharman or Peoria hoped for the victory for which they'd trained and practiced all year. Early in the second half, Harold Douglas scored with a layup, and Peoria Central, moving on from there, increased its lead. In the final seconds of the game, Peoria's Hyle Stout scored 2 points on a layup, and that really did it. The Peoria squad tallied again a decisive victory and won the right to meet Lagrange for the state championship of the state of Illinois. And now it's the final night of the tournament, Pinkneyville versus Scharman. This game was to decide the third-place team in the great championship tournament, and excitement ran high as the Pinkneyville Panthers in white jerseys and the Scharman Hilltoppers trotted out onto the court. The Panthers had lost to the Lagrange aggregation, while the Hilltoppers had been bested by Peoria Central. During the first half of the game, The crowd watched two battling teams playing their hearts out, playing as though the state title itself hung on the very outcome, because there's a lot of honor in being the third best team in the state of Illinois as well. And when the second quarter had ended, the Pinkneyville Panthers were favoring an 11-point lead over the Scharman Hilltoppers. In the third and fourth quarters, the quintet from Pinkneyville really caught fire and began dumping in shots in rapid succession to pull away from the Scharman aggregation. And yet, as the game developed and the crowd began to sense that Pinkneyville would come out the victor in this match, they also built up an admiration for those teams which had been eliminated through the grueling tournament. For here was displayed the best of Illinois' young athletes, a group of boys who fought with their hearts, battled fiercely, and yet with a sportsmanship that is and always will be the heritage of this, our United States. But there was also the anticipation of the waiting for the big game, the one that was to decide the champions of this blistering tournament. Third place winner, Pinkneyville, 71-42. Well, here's the big one. A tense and excited crowd at Huff Gymnasium waits anxiously for the opening whistle that will pit the Lrange Lions against the Peoria Central squad for the coveted championship and the climax to this action-packed high school basketball tournament. Lrange is in the white jerseys, Peoria Central in the dark. An overflow crowd is already in its seats as we get the opening tip-off, and Peoria Central gets possession. At the very outset of the game, Lrange puts on a full-court press. Peoria Central drives down into the corner, looking for a chance to penetrate. Finally got the shot away, no good. And the first scoring bid by the boys from Peoria fails. Now it's Lagrange's turn to try to break into that scoring column first. Charlie Sedgwick will try a shot here in just a moment. There's a long one. No good. But Kayaza tips it in for 2 points for Lagrange. Jerry Lewis brings the ball down for Central. Works it into Stout. Whirls, shoots. No good. And again, it's Lagrange's. Smith, the McCraes, the Caffey, Sedgwick, and Kayaza for Lagrange were all sterling tonight. And look at that beauty. A wonderful score for Lagrange, who are now out in front. And so far as Lagrange fans are concerned, out in front to stay. Again, the Peoria Central bid fails, but they get the ball out of bounds. There's a long try by Lewis, and Jerry Lewis scores first for Peoria. Lagrange comes right back with a good try, but not quite good enough, and Heil Stout rebounds off the backboard. A driving layup by Central, misses, and again Kayaza rebounds. Sedgwick and Smith looking for a chance to start that pivot play. The Peoria Central shifting man-to-man defense here is not quite good enough to stop Kayaza. And Big Ted does it again. And the big question in Peoria Central minds is, how can we stop Kayaza tonight? Again, Lagrange threatens to score. The Central defense sets itself under the basket, and it's good. A beauty by McCrae. Peoria Central tries to fight back into the scoring column here. A push shot from the side, no good. A follow-up, no good. Another try, no good. And Lagrange owns the ball, but there was a foul. The Central free throw is no good, but the beautiful tip-in works. And Central has scored again. There's Sedgwick of Lagrange with the ball again. There's a long try, and in she goes. And that was Peoria Central's big trouble. If they guard Kayaza too closely, put two men on him, Any one of those Lagrange boys can be dangerous. Sedgwick, Smith, the McRaes, the Cappies. But Central keeps driving and trying. A rebound try by Stout finds him losing the ball, and Lagrange owns it once more. Into Chiesa, unstoppable. But Peoria Central keeps trying, driving, fighting, scrapping all the way. It was a battle right down to the wire. Even though Lagrange took an early lead and was never headed, those Central boys never gave up. A nice try by Stout, but not quite nice enough. A battle for the ball, a free throw for Peoria Central. It's in. Now they're guarding Chiesa even closer than ever. This time, the defense worked. Stealing the ball there was Cappy of Lagrange. A very alert Lagrange defense was every bit as important as their offense in this championship game. Their ability to rebound at both ends of the court certainly helped spell victory for them in this game. It's good. But Lagrange, with a pretty good lead, says let's build it up. At this stage of the game, however, the Lagrange Lions can afford to wait for good openings. Another beauty by McRae. Lagrange still employing the full court press. Peoria Central looking for an opening here. Into Stout, and the opening was successful. Peoria Central's ball on the out-of-bounds play. Into the corner. On the pivot, a beautiful hook by Stout, and in she goes. At this stage of the game, the folks in the stands are beginning to realize that Lagrange has too big a lead. But those Central boys never stop fighting, and their fans never stop supporting them. And Huff Gymnasium was a bedlam from start to finish in this contest. Look at that thrill handed the crowd by Jerry Lewis. And he's fouled as he tries to cash in on that block. No good. And Lagrange owns the ball once more. Look at this clever ball handling. Quick reflexes, great fighting hearts, speed, action, and plenty of drama. Another interception by Lagrange. They weren't able to cash in on it. Time is running out on Peoria Central. And Chiesa does it again. Another beauty for Peoria Central. The free throw is good. And Central is really desperate now. A little over-anxious there. They lost the ball. But look at them get it back. Only to lose it out of bounds. There's Panis of Central with the ball. Tries it. No good. The tip-up try is no good. But here's Ziegler grabbing the ball, and this time it is good. But it was too late. And the final score was Lagrange 72, Peoria Central 60. And Lagrange thereby posts a new 4-game record of 310 points. It's the first Illinois State High School basketball crown in the school's history. The 29th victory for Coach Greg Sloan's unbeaten Lions this year. Ted Chiazza set a new single-game record. His 121-point total for the 4 games broke the old record by 17. Yes, and a dramatic series of victories. Lagrange brings the state title back to Cook County for the first time since 1941.